Hey, I'm Michael Beresford, Director of Investment Services at OpenCorp.
I'm Mclellan, CEO of OpenCorp. Here today talking to Michael about hotspots. It's a buzzword that comes around every property cycle we see it, but I want to get down and dirty on it. What exactly makes somewhere a hotspot or deemed a hotspot, and how reliable are hotspots when you're looking at long-term property growth?
There are a few things that can make an area a hotspot. I'll get the quick and easy ones out of the way and then get into the meaty ones after that. The quick and easy way is someone's paying for a media article because they have a vested interest in a location and they call it a hotspot as a result. The more common one is that it's an area that's seen rapid growth.
Yes.
As a result, it's creating hype. People are excited about what it's done.
Yep.
There's generally an influx of demand, so the buyer numbers are up, the rate of sales is up,
Yep.
the amount of supply is reducing,
Yep.
and generally what's tied to that is a fairly rapid increase in price from one stage to the next. So if we're talking about a new area where there's land supply, people are buying that land and then building houses, generally what developers will do, as you know, is to shrink the number of stages in a release,
Correct.
sell those out in a day or a weekend, bump up the prices for the next weekend, so on and so forth to maximise their profits. So the reliability of hotspots is a real problem. If an area is a hotspot already, then it's already seen the growth and you're buying at the top, right? That's the problem, and you're generally paying that inflated price relative to where, as smart investors, we want to be buying for value. So it's really important to keep that in mind.
And I think that the concept that people need to understand with, as you mentioned before, developers, it's actually called a term of drip feeding. So drip feeding land to market, which drips enough out to keep pressure and enough pressure on supply that they can bump up the next price. There was something that you mentioned early on when you started explaining hotspots, and that is people have a vested interest in that specific area. So a lot of property groups or property developers will deem somewhere a hotspot because they need to sell the stock in there or they're getting paid high commissions from it. Why at the moment, and this happens in market cycle, why at the moment are we hearing such an amount about hotspots? Why is it such a buzz term?
Well, I think the human nature today is, right, I want the 10-second solution that's going to make me lose 10 kilos in a week, right? Or we want to get we want to get rich quick. Just make it easy and tell me where to buy to get the best result. And we know rule number one that we talk to our clients about all the time is, think with your head, not your heart. Don't make emotional investment decisions. If something sounds amazing, then chances are there's you're going to be battling the masses and paying too much, as opposed to being really smart and coming in before the hype happens, which is where our research is focused. Our clients come in without that competition, they buy for value, and they reap the rewards as an area becomes a hotspot, but we've already got in earlier than that.
You've nailed something pretty nicely there. I just want to clarify it. So over the last 20 years, our clients have beaten the market by around 28%. That's about $256,000 on average per client, more than the average capital city property that our clients have made. Now that's just on one property. Our clients have then been able to use that to duplicate and multiply that compounding effect. And we've done that through a process of counter-cyclical investing. So I want to ask you and get you to explain why following a hotspot is a very, very poor investment strategy.
Awesome. I'll try and keep this short and sweet for everyone. If you think about any market cycle, within a 10-year period, we know that well-chosen property will double every 10 years, or thereabouts. 4 years or so of that 10 years are amazing. They're the hotspot years, right? The market's going fast. Then there's generally a 2-year period of kind of correction, and then there's another 4 years of stagnation where things potter along before the whole thing lather, rinse, repeats, and they get into another growth cycle. So if you think about that, generally how most people invest is it takes them 3 or 4 years of seeing growth to become confident enough.
Seeing newspaper articles promoting a specific area.
Oh, property's good, oh, the market's not dying down, it's still going. Right, now I've got the confidence to get in, and they buy at the top. And then what they see is this correction, this stagnation, and because everyone's impatient, they go 4 or 5 years later, oh, property doesn't work, and so they sell it. And I literally had this conversation 3 minutes before this video with Shelley, who talks to our potential investors for the first time. They bought in Queensland 5 years before COVID, saw no result in the first 4 years, sold it and missed out on the 57% that it's done since then. So that's counter-cyclical investing. I say to our clients, you're far better off being 12 months early than 12 weeks too late.
Yep.
Because if you're 12 weeks too late, you've paid X amount more than people that got in early. So it's about being smart and not limiting yourself to where you invest. So we know 70% of the 10% of Australians that invest only have one property. 69% of people that invest buy in the same postcode they live in. So you need to broaden your horizons and not restrict where you invest to the suburb that you live in. And that can open up a whole gamut of possibilities to buy interstate into markets that have the best possible upside potential at that point in time.
Catch the growth cycle at the bottom.
Yeah.
Take your equity out, catch the growth cycle at the bottom of the next market, take your equity out and duplicate the process. So how do you differentiate? Because like you said, people have two things. The amount of time people spend working and in general life, it doesn't leave a lot of time outside of that to go and do the research, the type of research that our team does. Now, if we're trying to get people to buy counter-cyclical, it's tough for them to understand anywhere outside their own postcode or a deemed hotspot, because that's just the information they're getting fed. So how do you differentiate between an investment that is a genuine opportunity to come in at the bottom of the market and a hotspot?
Okay, so a hotspot is an area where there's a lot of activity happening at that point in time, and pretty much you want to dismiss that straight away because it's built on emotion and hype.
Okay. So if you're seeing a report that says the 8 hotspots that are to be investing in, burn it.
Right. The way that you can assess realistic, viable investment opportunities is by using a proven process and a criteria-based assessment to say, right, this area ticks all of these boxes, and based on this formula working really, really well and beating the market in the past, that's where I'm going to invest. Then you see the result. It's amazing how often those areas become hotspots, but because you've got in at the right point in time, you're able to get your next one 12 to 18 months later, as opposed to buying at the top of the market and waiting maybe 5 to 6 years to be able to get the next one until the next growth cycle is around.
Just so people are really clear on practically how that occurs and how our clients find those areas before they become hotspots. What our team do, which obviously you're well aware of, is they research at each capital city market and work out which capital city market is at that peak, which is not good for investment at that point in time. The key to finding, which I'd rather prefer to call them growth corridors, is what we look for in specific capital cities. So on a really basic function, this is how the team do it. They go in and they look at the amount of budgeted and non-budgeted infrastructure going into an area. And infrastructure is road, rail, shopping centres, amenity.
Hospital,
Now what that does is that planned budgeted infrastructure brings population growth, so future population growth. So this is the crystal ball of how to find the best investment before it's even deemed a hotspot. So that infrastructure coming into an area brings population growth. What we then do is match that with the council's approved land supply, and this is what the urban growth boundaries are, which is regional to metro or high to medium to low density, the density levels. So we look for infill areas which have limited land supply and high infrastructure planning. So we're finding those areas before anyone else is even thinking about them and getting our clients into them just about when they're taking off. And I think that's why our clients have really nailed it over the last 20 years.
And it sounds super obvious, right? You come into areas before they grow and so on. I don't know about you, I haven't got 19 minutes a week to scratch my setup, let alone 90,000 hours that our research team collectively spend every year identifying these areas. So it's no fluke that we beat the market. It's time consuming. It's not rocket science, but it's super time consuming to be able to get it right. And I guess when you bring an objective viewpoint to this as opposed to an emotional viewpoint, and you apply that proven system, as you're saying, then the results can be really, really great.
So instead of following hotspots, and instead of buying your own postcode when you're looking for an investment property, because now we've explained clearly that hotspots are at the top end, the burning end of the market where people, and literally that's the term when I hear hotspots is people are going to get burnt. If you hear that, that's really the reality, the way I look at it. People get excited about it. Like you said, it's a buzzword. It's an emotional term that marketing companies use to get people to part with their money. But the way I look at it is, if it's called a hotspot, they're about to get burned. So what should smart investors do instead?
Okay. Smart investors, if you don't know what you're doing, and if anything that we've shared in this video causes you some kind of alarm or I nearly made a mistake like that, you need to reach out and get a coach and get a mentor, like the services we provide, to be able to guide you through step by step. Understand what's required to achieve the goals that you've got. If you're not even clear on your goals, get some help in formulating what that looks like. Put a strategy and a plan in place to achieve those goals, and then understand and have all the research and legwork done for you to leverage that experience to get the right property for your portfolio and your goals at any point in time, and then understand how that one becomes a springboard to get the next one and the next one in time, so that you can build that portfolio that's not impacting your lifestyle, that's getting you amazing financial results and fast tracking the returns, as opposed to buying at the top of the market because you bought a hotspot.
I hope today's video just explains to people and saves them getting burned by the old hotspot.